Namaste, everyone. Please be seated and take the seats in the front first, please. Thank you. Namaste and welcome. My name is Mahesh Kukata. I'm the chairperson for the Shiva Vishnu Temple. And this is the day 6 of the Bhagavatha Sapthaham Pravachanam by Sri Dushyanth Sridhar ji. For the last 5 days, we've been truly blessed to watch and hear the Pravachanam. It's been a wonderful experience. We have a big crowd today, and this series is being done as part of the Mahotsavam we're doing this year. This year's Mahotsavam is Sri Ananthapadmanabha Mahotsavam. That will be coming up very soon. It's in August 7th through 11th. It's a 5-day Mahotsavam. So we want to make sure we invite you all with your friends and family to come and participate in the Mahotsavam. And there is detailed information on the website, and also we have the flyers the back of the auditorium. Please take those with you. Take a look at the religious program and the sponsorships. We certainly need your support and certainly need your presence here to make it a very, very successful Mahotsavam. Thank you. On behalf of the Board of Trustees with me today, I invite you, all of you, to today's Pravachanam and also the Mahotsavam. Thank you very much.
त्रिकोणमध्यगतं मुरारी प्रमुखाद्युपासितं मूलधर अक्षेत्रस्थितं परदिचत्वारिव गात्मक प्रणव स्वरूप वक्रतुण्डं निरन्तरं निडिह चन्द्र खण्डं निजवामकर विद्रुतेक्षुदण्डम् रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपन व्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम् वन्दे वृन्दावनचरम् वल्लवी जनवल्लभम् जयन्ती सम्भवन् धाम वैजयन्ती विभूषणम् वाचं निजाङ्गरसिकां प्रसमीक्षमाणः वक्त्रारविन्द विनिवेशितपाञ्चजन्यः वर्णत्रिकोणरुचिरे वरपुण्डरीके बद्धासनो जयति वल्लभचक्रवर्ती आम्नाय गन्धरुधितस्फुरितदरोष्ठम् आत्स्लाविलेक्षणमनुक्षतमन्दहासं गोपालडिम्बवपुषं कुहना जनन्याः प्राणस्य नन्दनमवैमि परं पुमांसम् आविर्भवत्यनिभृताभरणं पुरस्तात् कुञ्चितैकचरणं निभृतान्यपादम् दध्नानिमन्त मुखरेण निबद्धताळं नाथस्य नन्दभवने नवनीतनाट्यम् हर्तुं कुम्भे विनिहितकरः स्वादुहय्यङ्गवीणं दृष्ट्वा दामग्रहणचटुला मातरं जातरोषां पायादीशदुः प्रचलितपदो नापगच्छन्न तिष्ठन् मिथ्या गोपः सपदि नयने मीलयन् विश्वगोप्ता व्रजयोषितवाङ्गवेधनीयं मधुरा भाग्यमनन्य भोग्यमीडे वसुदेववधूस्तनन्दयं तत् किमपि ब्रह्मकिशोरभावदृश्यम् अधराहितचारुवंशनालाः मकुटालम्बिमयूरपिञ्छमालाः हरिलीलशिलाविभङ्गलीलाः प्रतिभाः सन्तु मम अन्तिमः प्रयाणे जानकीकान्तस्मरणम् गोपिका जीवनस्मरणम् नमस्सदसे नमस्सभाये. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma Shriyapati, this series of 7 days titled Srimad Bhagavatha Sapthaham has been an angam of the larger Sri Ananthapadmanabha Swami Mahotsavam that is to be celebrated in this very premises in the month of August. And being Ananthapadmanabha Swami Mahotsavam, the temple has invited Her Highness Princess Gauri Parvati Bai. She is from the lineage of the Travancore Maharaja, Thiruvananthapuram Maharaja Parampara. So they have arranged a Prashnottaram, a question and answer style interactive session with Her Highness Princess Gauri Parvati Bai as an integral part of this Utsavam on the 10th of August Shanivaram, Saturday, between 5 and 6 p.m. So the temple requests that people of all communities, for languages, be a part of this interactive session. These 5 days, today is the 6th day, in less than say 13-14 hours we have to see each other. So morning we will all assemble for Rukmini Kalyanam, which will be the finale of this Saptaham series. We have briefly understood Matsya Kurma Varaha Nrisimha Vamana Trivikrama Parashurama Rama Rishabhanata Jada Bharata Chitraketu Pruthu Daksha Dhruva Ajameda Ambarisha Charitrams. And in Sri Krishna Avataram, in Dashamaskandam, we discussed Sri Krishna Jananam. Followed by Sri Krishna Jananam, we discussed Putana Vadham. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Krishna discusses karma, jnana and bhakti yogas. The way we distribute Srimad Bhagavad Gita is into 3 groups of 6 chapters each. Prathama Shatkam, Madhyama Shatkam, Antima Shatkam. Shatkam, 6, Shatkam, set of 6 chapters. So chapter 1 to chapter 6, Krishna discusses karma and jnana yoga. He discusses both karma yoga and jnana yoga. After discussing karma yoga and jnana yoga, where he deals with Dvitiya Adhyayam and Sankhya Adhyayam, so he discusses, he goes on to describe Sthita Prajna, so on and so forth, till chapter 6 he discusses karma and jnana yoga in detail. Chapter 7 to chapter 12 he discusses Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is also called sadhana or upasana. Do not confuse it with the normal parlance with which we do. वो भगवान की उपासना कर रहे थे. There we mean worship. In Shastric parlance, upasana means bhakti yogam. Bhakti yogam is where you have 3 levels: parabhakti, parajnana, paramabhakti. These are the 3 levels of bhakti yogam that Krishna discusses. In the 9th chapter, he says, Guhyatamam Shastram. Arjuna, I am going to teach you the best of secrets. Guhyatamam. Tamashabdeti. Superlative vachakaha. So how you say EST, best, that is Tama. Guhyatama. Idam tute. He uses the letter tu. For that letter tu, why Krishna used that letter tu, the commentator has written 4 pages. Idam tu, that tu. We easily get 1 page, 2 line translation for that shloka. But for that idam tu te guhyatamam tu, why he used to, they bring so many references from Upanishads and said, why Krishna used the letter tu. That is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has 127 commentaries from Paishacha Bhashyam to Abhinava Gupta till Shankara, Ramanuja, Vedanta Deshika. Everyone has delineated on Bhagavad Gita so much. So chapter 7 to chapter 12 is Bhakti Yoga. Then Arjuna will have a laundry list of questions and doubts about chapter 1 to chapter 12. Those doubts he clears between chapter 13 to chapter 18. That is called Antima Shatkam. So this is how we distribute Bhagavad Gita. In Bhakti Yogam, I hope it's not confusing. So, based on Upanishadic knowledge, which is called Vedanta Bhagam, we have arrived at 32 Brahma Vidyas. One of the Brahma Vidyas is called as Bhakti Yogam, Upasana or Sadhana. Likewise, there are 31 others. Nyasa Vidya, Purushottama Vidya, Bhauma Vidya, Dahara Vidya, Antaraditya Vidya. These are all Vidyas. Put together, they are 32 in number. Why number 32? 32 is a very different number in maths. It is both a happy number and a Lloyd's number. 2 power 4 plus 4 power 2. X power y plus y power x is 32. 2 power 4 plus 4 power 2. It is also a happy number. 1 power 1 plus 2 power 2 plus 3 power 3 is 32. So the only number that satisfies both the formula is 32. So it is called Brahma Vidya. So 32 of them is Bhakti Yogam with Krishna explains. In Bhakti Yogam, he gives various rules. While explaining to Arjuna, he calls out one of the rule called as Tatkratu Nyayam. What is Tatkratu Nyayam? Tatkratu Nyayam is the Jivatma, when it is stationed in the Hridaya Kamalam, and when the right time comes for it to depart from the material body, there is a working part of the manas, which is the brain. See, generally we distribute our brain into two parts. One which is logically thinking, analytical in approach. The other one which is emotional in approach. Emotion, we push it to the heart. Heart doesn't have the ability to think. But we believe emotion and logic cannot coexist. So we keep logic here. Generally, if you look at the dramas, the hero will say, Inga valikirudhu. He's got some heart problem. But he doesn't have a heart problem. He says, I am emotionally afflicted. So he indicates, that is why you put that heart and arrow and all of that, right? So where will that arrow go? Is that some bypass surgery? No. So emotion is placed here. But that emotion and logic together come in one tattvam called manas. That manas has to be thinking of something or someone when the Atma departs. Whatever that manas is thinking of in Bhakti Yogam, when the Atma is about to depart from the material body, in the next Janma, the Atma shall be in that. Exact example is between 720 and 750 when we dealt with Jada Bharata Charitram on day 2, Tuesday. You remember? He thought of the deer, he became the deer. So, wherever your mind is placed, you shall become that. Tat Kratu. You will become that. So, that is Tat Kratu Nyayam. This is what Krishna says. Now, let's imagine a scenario where the person is delineating on that particular incident, where a child is consuming milk from his mother. So the mother is feeding the child. Somebody is telling the mother was feeding the child with milk. Mother was feeding the child with milk. So there is a subject, there is an object, there is a verb, feeding, to feed. That is the gerund and infinitive, right? So you have the verb, you have the subject, you have the object. Imagine a person is listening to this, and at that time the Jivatma departs. As per Tatkratu Nyayam, what should be the application? That the person will be born again, consuming milk from some other woman, because the verb has to repeat, the subject has to repeat, the object has to repeat. Child is drinking milk from the mother. That has to repeat as per Tatkratu Nyayam. But there is an exception to this rule. What is that exception? When you listen to Krishna drinking milk from Putana and your Atma departs, you will never have to drink milk from another mother, which means you won't have another Janmam. Stanyam pibatvam na punarbabhuva. How can there be an exception to the general rule? There is an exception. Let's say mathematics. If you take sin x by x, limit x tends to 0, which is sin 0 by 0. 0 by 0 is indeterminate. So then there was a great person called Lapital. He said, apply my rule so that it is not indeterminate. So sin x will become cos x, x will become 1, cos 0 is 1. So there is an exception to a general rule. Putana Badham is an exception to the general rules. Tanyena Krishnaha saha Putanaya Pranan Papaulupta Punarbhavaya Yat Adbhutam Bhavayatam Jananam Stanandayatvam na punarbhabuva. Stanandayatvam na punarbhabuva. Even Adi Shankara gives one such exception. He says, you will have to debate with Yama when your Atma departs from the body. Then somebody said, sir, I don't want to debate with Yama. Then do Bhaja Govindam. If you recite Govinda Namam, you don't have to debate. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha bhaja govindam. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. You don't have to do charcha with Yama. When bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam, govindam bhaja मूढमते भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गाजललव कणिका पीता सकृदपियेन मुरारि समर्च क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं. So when Krishna was around in Gokulam, his birthday had to be celebrated every year. Shri Jayanti it is called. What is Jayanti? I told you yesterday. Jayanti Sambhavan Dhama. Those who didn't come, learn, take down the notes. So, he was born on Jayanti. Generally, during Krishna Jayanti, it is a norm in most of the Dakshina Bharatiya Grihams, where we make sweets and we indicate to ourselves that Krishna is visiting our house to consume the sweets that we have made. Of course, it is an irony. So we make Krishna's padam, and Krishna's padam will vary in sizes from dinosaur padam to small padam. So we mark Krishna's feet. When Krishna lived and when Sri Jayanti was celebrated, the shloka is different. They never had to draw his padam. They will call Krishna, ask him to jump onto that paste made of the rice flour and then say, Krishna, walk. As Krishna would walk, they would get Krishna's padam. But how different was that padam? Sasanchanan sadhujanaf pratimair mabhujyatam seyamitiva matva chakradibihi pada saroja chinham. When they used to look at the impressions made by Krishna's feet, you zoom and see chakradibihi. They used to see impressions of Shankha Chakram in those feet. While describing this, there is one anecdote mentioned about a lady. We don't know her name. She was of the Shabara Jati. Shabara Jati are those community members who live in the forests. So if you are a woman of the Shabara Jati, you are called Shabari. We often think that woman's name was Shabari. Her name was not Shabari. We don't even know her name. She was a Shabari of the Shabara Jati. That's all. So, that is why Vedanta Deshika says, Nishadanam Neta Kapikulapatihi Kapi Shabari. Kapi Shabari in Sanskritam, Kapi means the one who is addressless. We don't even know who she was. But Rama went to her house. Generally, when you go to somebody's house, won't you know the entire horoscope? We know so many. SSVT when we visit somebody's house, we know the entire Jatakam. When Rama visited, he didn't even know her name. Her name was also not written here. He went because she invited. Because he is the Atithi. Tithi mane date. We say right Pratham. Today is Tritiya Tithi, Panchami Tithi, Shashti Tithi, Ekadashi Tithi, Dwadashi Tithi, Purnima Tithi. So Tithi through the Panchangam. In Panchangam it occupies a significant position because we know what day and what is that day, how is it associated with Chandra. Whether it is the Krishna Paksha Ekadashi, Shukla Paksha Ekadashi, we know the Tithi. When someone comes to your house uninformed, without telling you the Tithi, then that person is called Atithi. He doesn't tell you the Tithi, right? But today we are all Tithis. We are not Atithis. We inform them. Oh, I'm not there. ಊಟಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ? ಖಂಡಿತ. ಎಷ್ಟು ತಿಂತೀರಾ? ಬರುವಾಗನೇ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು, 2 ಚಪಾತಿ ತಿಂತೀನಿ, ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಇದು ತಿಂತೀನಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ತಿನ್ನಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So, Shabara Jati Stri is Shabari. There was one such Shabari whose, I would say, profession was to collect the jamun fruits. Jamun fruits are like grapes, elongated, they come from a tree. In Tamil it is called Naval Palam. In fact, our Dweepam itself is called Jambu Dweepam. So this jamun fruit, they now say for diabetes it is very good. Immediately they will make bottles from the juice. So this lady collected jamun fruits and she used to sell. It was not easy for people to venture into the forests and pluck those fruits. This lady took the risk, she used to come. It was barter. You bartered a product for what you wanted with another product what the seller wants. So she wanted grains. So Krishna would pick the grains from his backyard and he would walk all the way to the front yard to barter with the woman for the fruits, jamun fruits. And most houses, village houses in agraharams of those days, were long houses. They used to share walls. You call them row houses or town houses here, right? So they used to share walls. So there used to be a front yard and a backyard, and then you'll have Saptalokam. Atala, Vitala, Sutra, Dasa, Atala, Tala, Atala, Maha, Atala, Patada. You have to go. So Krishna would carry both fistful of grains and would come running. As he would run, the grains would fall between the crevice created by his two palms. So when he came to the front yard, only 2 grains were stuck to his palms. And he had to barter for the fruits. So he took those fruits and gave those 2 grains to her. Krishna himself felt bad. He said, sorry, I didn't mean to. I'll just go get some. She said, no, that's okay. Just give me those 2 grains. You're very bad in business, oh woman, I tell you. You should be collecting some more grains from me. She said, no, you can give me something else. What do you want? Moksham. Krishna said, this avataram, it has come into wholesale. Everybody, whoever is coming is asking moksham, moksham. First of all, he asked, how did you know that I grant salvation where you don't have to be born again? She said, I'm used to listening to lectures. Like how the audience in SSVT are. She said, see, you're all there in Bhagavatam. When I listen, I get to know that the one who has got Shankha Chakra Rekha. Rekha means lines. See, today we kind of create our own identity with our finger marks, right? At one point in time, a group of Siddha Purushas landed in Dakshina Bharatam in a kshetram called Chidambaram, and they formulated the futuristic roadmap of people based on fingerprints. That was called Nadi Josyam, if you have heard. Then those manuscripts were shifted to another kshetram close by of Shiva called as Vaidishwaran Kove. So this Rekha, when you give in that Nadi Josyam, they won't look at your horoscope. Based on your fingerprint, they will find the manuscript for yours and there will be a verse written about it. So this fingerprint, when zoomed, for Bhagavan will have Shankha Chakra Rekha. Sujata Rekhatmaka Shankha Chakram Tamrodaram Tasya Kararavindam Vilokayantya Phalavikrakanya Vikretumatmanam Abhud Vivershaha, says Srimad Bhagavatam. There is one question which Parikshit asks. He asks Shuka, Etat kaumarajam karma hareratma hi mokshanam mrityoho paugandake bala drishtor churvismita braje. He says, I've heard from my ancestors that there is one incident that occurred in the lives of the Gopakumaras and Krishna, which occurred while they were 6 years of age, but was narrated while they were 7. What is that incident? It's a prahelika, it's a puzzle. An answer to this question comes where Krishna asks his mother whether I can go to earn. Mother refuses. Then finally she grants him the permission. Food is packed. All the boys along with Krishna, the cows and the calves, the bovine race, they all go to the banks of the river Yamuna. They all sit in a circle. They offer food to Krishna. Krishna is extremely overwhelmed with the love and the devotion that the Gopakumaras show. Yesterday we discussed. Now, after Krishna had his lunch, he had to go wash his hands. So he went running to the waters of Yamuna and washed. As he returned, he found all the boys missing. He thought they must have attended to the cows and calves. He went to the place where the cows and calves were supposedly grazing. There he saw the cows and calves missing. So the boys, the cows and the calves, all together they were missing. Not even one person was spared. That is when Krishna started crying, Pichupani, Raja, Chandramouli. Nobody answered. That is when Krishna, being Paramatma himself, he did dhyana through Ashtanga Yoga and realized that Brahma had kidnapped. Why, sir? Brahma is doing all such things. See, as per our Puranas and Itihasas, Brahma is held at a very high position. But the commentator to Thiruvaimozhi in the 12th century gives a beautiful example to describe where Brahma is. Imagine it is the day of Krishna Janmashtami, Sri Jayanti, the next day in your house. And imagine your house is one such where your father and mother decide to make sweets and not buy. So, if at all they want to make, they would find you and ask you to climb up the attic. In Tamil it is called Paran. And you'll have to get that flour out, the basin flour, the rice flour out. What is a multi-purpose flour? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That is a multi-purpose, right? So you have to get that multi-purpose flour and you have to get. People who are reasonably, fairly tall in your house will realize what a curse it is to be tall, because they will keep calling you, take this, take that. So you have to go up the attic. So imagine the previous day, the boy asks his mother, how far is Chandra, Mata? Moon, Soma. Oh, that's very far, my dear son. ChatGPT says. It is miles away. Miles away. Let's say 2 lakh miles. The boy is amazed. 2 lakh miles! The moon is away. Yes, my dear son. Day 2. The mother ordains her son to go climb the attic and get the flour out. The boy climbs up, sits in the attic, gives the dabba of flour, and the mother says, get out. Down. He says, no. Why? I'm closer to the moon. What? You're closer to the moon? Yes, while I was at ground level, you said I'm 2 lakh miles away. I'm now up the attic. So I'll be closer to the moon. The mother gives a gaffa and she says, no. Yes, compared to your state yesterday, you are 8 feet higher. But with respect to the moon, you are 1,99,999.999 non-terminating decimal miles away. Approximately, you are at the same distance. With respect to Baddhatmas like us, Brahma is seated on the attic. But with respect to Parabrahmam, Paramatma, Brahma and we are in the same level. So Brahma is also an admixture of Sattva, Rajo, Tamo, Gunam like us. When Sattva Gunam is at its peak, he'll be extremely devoted. When Rajo Gunam and Tamo Gunam is there in him, he will do all this kidnapping work. So Brahma kidnapped all the boys, all the calves, all because he was thinking that Krishna, being a very primitive mortal, is showing such extraordinary powers. I need to teach him a lesson, the him with an H capital. I need to teach him the lesson. So what did Krishna do? With the moment he realized that Brahma has got Garbham, being the Purna Srishta, he became Pichumani. He became that Rajamani. He became that Chandramouli. He became the cows. He became the calves. He became the Dabba. he became the curry leaves which were the remnants of the food. So when Pichumani Rajamani went home, Bhagavatam says that day the mother found an unfound extra layer of attachment towards her son. So she found an extra layer of attachment because it was Paramatma who was there within. When she was washing the vessels as well with prill, I don't know what you call it here, she found that attachment towards that dabba. Because in that Achetana Vastu also Bhagavan was there. Even she did not have that mind to throw that curry leaf away. In that curry leaf also she saw Krishna. Kakai shiraginile nandalala karve pilayilu tonju dada nandalala pargumarangal yellam nandalala. So she saw Trailokyame tadakhilam narasimha garbham. She saw Krishna everywhere. Now meanwhile Brahma took all these boys, the cows and calves to Satyalokam. He kidnapped them. While he was about to enter Satyalokam, his abode, the Dwarapalakas, the Rakshakas said, "Tehriye, andar mat jaiye. Main Brahma hoon, en Brahma." Andar dekhiye, Brahma peeped in. Next to Saraswati, there was another Brahma. Saraswati, I am Brahma. Talela paane elam vechikrar. Kanne, Kalaimane, Nandama. Saraswati, ये कौन है ब्रह्मा जी बाहर? पता नहीं, इधर भी आ चुके हैं. Then these boys give us butter. Yo, come on. Positioning or tarara. He did not know how to manage. His position was gone, abode was gone, patni was gone. He took all these boys, the cows and calves, back to Vrindavanam. There was another Pichumani there. You where to keep this boy? That is when Jivam hi kaschid abhimana shatvakiyam matva tanuja iti ragabharam vahantyaha atmanameva tu bhavantamapya sunum pritim yayurna kiyatim vanitascha gavaha. So that is when Brahma thought there is something fundamentally wrong in my thinking process and surrendered, did perform prapatti to Bhagavan and asked what could be the best way to get out of the situation. When he meditated and opened his eyes, he saw the boys whom he thought were Pichumani Rajamani playing with Krishna and Vrindavanam having Srivatsam in their chest. Which means Srivatsam is the unique mole of Bhagavan. All these are none but manifestations of Bhagavan himself. That is when Brahma repented and said, "This is a grave mistake on my part to have tested somebody as high as you, Paramatma. Please forgive me." He closed his eyes. The situation returned where Krishna was actually searching for Pichumani and Rajamani that day. And these people, Pichumani, Rajamani, whom he carried, went back to the field, oblivious of the fact that they were kidnapped. What is that charm? Obliviate. So they all forgot. They all reached. Now these boys were taken by Krishna as if nothing had happened, and they all went home and told their mother, "Ma, that Gomkura rice was so good." Telisa. Mother wondered, "Today I didn't give Gomkura rice, I gave white sauce pasta. Why is he talking about Gomkura rice?" The other boy said, "Coconut rice. I tried to taste. I don't know, Amme." Yendana monya. Yan ee divasam koduthallo. So the boys were narrating about the dishes they ate long back, as if it had happened that day. The mothers also did not realize what are these boys saying, because the incident that happened that day was narrated today. In the meanwhile, 1 year had passed. That is why the question raised by Parikshit was, what was that incident that occurred while they were 6 years of age, but narrated while they were 7? I wouldn't equate or morph it with a concept, but very close to what we call it as the time travel. So you get back I'm sure readers will relate it to the prisoner of Azkaban. So, an incident, Paugandakebala Kaumarajam Brajit, while they were 6 years of age, narrated while they were 7. This is called Vatsapaharanam. Then Brahma came and praised Bhagavan. Naumidhyate bhravapushe tadidambaraya gunjavatassa paripinchala sanmukhaya vanyasraje kavadavetra vishana venu lakshmashriye mrudupade pashupankajaya. Brahma praised. Then comes another incident where Krishna leaves his brother Balarama at home. Generally, Balarama and Krishna will be together. But all acharyas agree that day Krishna said, Balaram, mummy needs help. Aap kuch help karo. Vinaiva Ramena vibhuk kadachit ekadatu vinaramam Krishno vrindavanam yayau ramamrite rajan tasmin kale ekada tvaisira pani muktva. He did not take Balarama that day along with his friends to the banks of river Yamuna. Why? Because there was an incident that was to occur. What is this incident? Krishna took his friends, along with his friends, he went to a lake. First I said river, now lake. What is this lake and river? So first decide whether it is a lake or a river. Whenever rivers flow from their source, origin, back to Sagara, Akashat patitam toyam, Sagaram yatha gacchati. Rivers have to drain themselves into oceanic waters. Akashat patitam toyam, Sagaram yatha gacchati. So while they were going towards the ocean, when rivers flow, they meander. So if I have to put it this way, they meander like this. Certain rivers that meander over a period of time, the meandered portion detaches itself from the original course and forms a lake. It is called an oxbow lake. An oxbow lake is a lake that is formed from the meandered portion. It detaches itself from the original. This lake formed of the Yamuna waters was an oxbow lake. And in its waters lived a snake of virulent poison called Kaliya. Of course, over the usage we call him Kaliya. But I told you that day in Prachina Sanskritam, La is not there. There is only La. So Kaliya. So Kaliya was the snake that lived there. It was believed to be a multi-hooded snake that lived with its family. And to ensure that humans do not occupy his space, he started pushing poison into the waters, thereby making the waters polluted. And the waters were so polluted enough, it is told in Bhagavatam that the lawn, the meadows around the lake were parched. The grass couldn't take the poison. So were the trees that were bereft of its leaves. That is when Krishna went along with his friends. They were playing some kandukam. As they were playing the ball, game of ball, as they were playing, the ball fell into the waters. The boys said, Krishna, the ball has fallen into the waters. Before they could express their anguish in its fullest form, Krishna ran towards that lake, stood on one of the branches of the tree that was bereft of its trees, leaning itself onto the waters. Krishna ran over the branch, like the swim pad, he jumped and fell into the waters, took a plunge into the waters. But what is unique about his position is, let's take Srimad Ramayanam. In Srimad Ramayanam, Sugriva promises that once his supremacy in Kishkindha is restored and his wife, along with his wife Ruma, he sees a union, he shall help Rama in finding his wife. True to his promise, he sends the Vanaras in different directions. Then the Vanaras come in the southern direction. While they come in the southern direction to Dakshina Bharatam, that is when the monkeys were Vanaras. I shouldn't use the word monkey because we don't know if the word Vanara exactly means monkey. So I'll keep them as Vanaras. The Vanaras were pretty confused as to where Sita was. As they were talking to each other, they said, I think it's better, instead of telling Rama that we couldn't spot Sita because of which he will die, let us die here itself. Masu said. As they were talking about Rama, they also said, oh, see, for Rama Kainkaryam, even the devout bird called Jatayu, Mriga Madalalama Shubha Nidilavara Jatayu Moksha Phalada Pavamana, says Tyagaraja, Moksha Phalada Pavamana Jatayu. So Jatayu died. See, Jatayu died for Rama Kainkaryam. The moment they uttered the word Jatayu and death, one another vulture peeped out. Did you talk about Jatayu? Then they asked, who are you, bird? My name is Sampati. I am Jatayu's brother. I am so sad to know that my brother is dead. And he understands, he wants to know about why his brother died. That is when these Vanaras start singing praises of Ramanama. This Sampati had lost his wings and they were never growing back again. For years together he was bereft of his wings, thereby he couldn't fly. For the first time he is hearing the extraordinary traits of Ramanama from the Vanaras. For the first time, Sundarakandam, Kishkindha Kandam end mentions, he saw some feathers coming out of his body when he heard Ramanama. Same was the case in Krishna Avataram because of the virulent poison that was thrown into the waters by Kaliya and thereby making the trees bereft of the leaves. When Krishna stood on its branch and took a plunge, Bhagavatam says, Madudraiva Ulbala Harshabashpa Romanchita Kai Kesara Jalakena Patrankurais Chitra Tanuschakashe. For the first time, a small leaf emerged from that branch, giving hope. See, Bhagavat Dhyanam, Bhagavan Nama is a hope. If someone says, oh, you're going to listen to the lecture, all your problems are going to go, that means there is a big falsehood there. Our karma, we have to suffer. If someone says, do this, all your worries will go away, that person is duping you. Underline this word. Only through suffering we can wash our karma. Sir, if karma is all about suffering, why should we come to the temple? You don't come to the temple to get your karma vanished. You come even while in your suffering times, troubled times, those few seconds when you think of Bhagavan, you get that momentary bliss. That's all. If temple visits can remove your karma, everybody will build their houses within the temple. Why will they stay at home? So, this is the truth and this is the bitter truth. If someone says, oh, do this and all your things will go away, no. Prayaschittam cannot do away all your sins. Please underline this. When I told this in some other place, however bitter the truth is, however acceptable, less acceptable or unacceptable the truth remains the truth. The truth is, in Sanatana Dharma, we have taken multiple births. This is Sanatana Dharma's understood position. This Jivatma has gone into various bodies. In every body, we would have committed a big list of karma. Some positive, mostly negative. And that account balance will always be there. And that karma is why we are suffering. If we don't believe in karma theory, give me a simple answer. If I suffer at the age of 40, somebody can say, you troubled people while you were at 30. That is why you are suffering at 40. If I am suffering at 20, you will say, you didn't listen to your parents while you were a little boy, so you are suffering. But why should a newborn child have deformities? What mistake did the child do? Because of the karma of the previous janma, it is a transfer. When you add 19 plus 17, 9 plus 7, 16, you put 6 here, 1 carryover. That carryover karma will be there. Then there will be another follow-up question. Why should I suffer for what I have done in my past? Then karma theory says, ask the same question when you are happy. When you are happy, You should ask, right, I don't know what good karma I've done that I alone am happy whereas others are suffering. Whenever we are happy, we never bring karma theory. Only when we suffer, we bring in karma theory. So the selective comparison is something that karma theory disses. Now coming back to Bhagavatam or Vishnu Puranam, why do we listen? If someone says, you listen to Bhagavatam, all your sins will go away, please, I am not part of it. All that is not there. But we listen to Bhagavatam to understand that even when Paramatma chooses to be born human, he has to undergo the sufferings of a human. See, when Bhagavan chose to be born as Rama, was Rama's life a smooth ride? No. He was to be made the king. Plan A. Next day they say, oh sorry, you have to go to the forest for 14 years. I would have sued that man. I would have brought Dasharatha to the court. I would have fought with the best attorney. He said, I will go. When he went, Viradha abducted his wife. While they were living peacefully in Panchavati, Shurpanaka, Garvabhangam happened, Sita was abducted to a foreign country. By the time they returned and she was pregnant, there was accusation. Sita as a single mother delivered her children. She raised her children. It was not a smooth ride in Rama's life, in Krishna's life. See, Krishna is such a happy-go-lucky person that we don't realize. The moment he was born, he was separated from his parents. The moment he thought that these were his parents, he was told, these are not your parents. He was brought back to Mathura. When he married Rukmini, Rukmini's marriage, we'll see tomorrow, it was such a thriller. In Rukmini's marriage album, if she had to show her marriage album to her son Pradyumna, first 4 pages, the son-in-law is Shishupala because Bharat happened with him. Marriage, next 4 pages happened with Krishna. Kannadam godittu kannidane idiyaruma avaru innottar. Kannadam godittu kannidannai kaipidippan thinnarnirunda Shishupalan tan deshalindu annarundirukkave aangavalai kaipiditta Kannadan, says Andal in Nachiyar Tirumozhi. The moment Rukmini and Krishna had a son Pradyumna, on the 6th day since his birth, he was kidnapped. So Krishna's life when Bhagavan chooses to be human is not a smooth ride. Why does he have to do that? To tell, even if Paramatma is human, he suffers, then what are you? That is why we listen to Bhagavatam, to realize that even during suffering times, how to offer bhakti. It is not to say by listening to Bhagavatam, you will be devoid of sufferings. If someone says that, they will keep saying that they will have large subscriber and devotee base, then they will buy one island and go. The process, the trajectory path will be different. Now, coming back to Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna took a plunge into the waters. Immediately all the inhabitants of Vrindavanam, they all came running. Yashoda, she was extremely petrified. She knew that Kaliya was there. What would happen to her son? Not a sign of hope that the boy was living. While absolutely reading, internalizing, contemplating on this incident mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavata Mahapuranam, Narayana Bhattadri 400 years back, in the sanctum sanctorum of the beautiful abode of Krishna called Guruvayur in Kerala, re-visualized this and thought, how could a boy of such young age be unmindful of this snake, a multi-hooded snake? As he was thinking, he heard the sound of the bubbles. Bhattatri, suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, couldn't move much. He peeped to check a beautiful lake that was in the vicinity of the temple, and from those waters emerged a snake with the boy. So the boy tried to tell, do not doubt on my capability, I did dance. And he reenacted the dance to Bhattatri so that Bhattatri can write it in a rhythmic fashion. Because you have to see, delivery in Bharatiya language or poetry is just not about remembering the verses. It has to be attuned to the emotion there. When Rama lifts the bow, you should get that Viram. Kratu hara shikhari kantu gavi hrutyun muga jagadi runtu dajita hari done. It should break. Ramar villai eduthara. When When Narasimha comes, you have to feel that emotion. Narasimha தூணிலிருந்து ஆவிர்பவத்தி உறங்கி தாச்சி தூங்கிட்டாரு தச்சி முன்னு சாப்பிட்டு என்ன பண்றது? So you should have that emotion. See, that is why music, dance and speaking are interrelated. When we speak, we emote, right? Ha vandana eppo. See, you go up and down. When we speak, don't we emote? Don't we use our eyes? Don't we use our brows? That is abhinayam. In Natya Shastram, that is abhinayam. You have to use your eyes. Eppo vanda Saturday sandosham manama pesudhu. You should emote. Then why do we learn music? Music, see, people ask, oh, I just learned music, I just did my arangetram. Do that arangetram when you're speaking. Right? See, that's a very Eastern way of speaking. When you see something good, oh, this is so nice, how did you do it? Well, that's interesting. No. Don't make it so subtle. Right? So Krishna had to dance. Bhattatri says, Athavarini Gorataram Paninam Prativarahitum Kritadhir Bhagavan Dhritamaritatī Ragani Padarum Vishamarutasho Shitaparnachayam Bhuvanatrayaba Rabruto Bhavato Guru Bharavikam Vivijrum Bhijala Parimajayati Smadanu Shatakam Tatini Jhatiti Sputa Ghoshavati Adhiru Yadata Paniraja Panan Nandrute Bhavata Prudupada Rucha Kalashinjidanu Pura Manjumilat Karakankana Swankula Swankvanitam. So Bhattatri's, this is a description in Narayaniyam. He uses the letter Sha. See, it's a beautiful letter. Because every animal has its own sound. You say bow bow, meow. You say that sound, right? Neighing of the horse. When Hayagriva does, Vedanta Deshika says, Samahara Samnam Pratipadam Richam Dhama Yadusham Layaf Pratyuhanam Lahari Vitadir Bodhajaladehe Katha Darpakshubhyat Kataka Kula Kola Halababam Haratu Antadhvantam Hayavadana Hesha Halahalaha Halahalaha. Hal ahal means consonant and vowels. So when the neighing of Hayagriva's sound comes, knowledge comes, vowels and consonants, literature comes, hala hala ha, neighing. So Hayagriva is the one with the horse's face, mouth, neck. That is why in English, knowingly or unknowingly, we say, let the truth come from the horse's mouth. They're all Hayagriva Upasakas. So Britishers stayed for 250 years in India, right? They all went to Tiruvahindrapuram, learned Hayagriva Stotram and wrote this. So, hala hala ha. Similarly, snake. What is that? Parcel tongue. Right? Shh. Sha is that aksharam. That is why in this grantham you will have Sha. Paniraja Sha. Mrudu Kalashinjitanu Puramanju. Sha, Sha, Sha will keep coming to give that his sound of that snake. That Sha. That is why poets in those days used to reply to questions based on the sound of the question. There was a great poet called Sriharsha. He belonged to Kashmiram. See, Kashmiram. From Kashmira, there was no job. Plenty of stones, none were thrown. So they all came from Kashmiram to Kashi, Varanasi. This poet Sriharsha knew only Sanskritam. He did not know the local language. There were no jobs available for him in Kashi. He went and meditated on Chintamani mantram given by Saraswati Devi. There is a mantram of Saraswati called Chintamani. This Chintamani mantram, when meditated, will give good memory. Sir, do you know that mantram? No. I just know that there was a mantram called Chintamani. So he was meditating on Saraswati by the banks of river Ganga in Kashi. As he began meditating, two women, local women who had come to fetch waters in the Ganga, they were fighting. Big fight. In Tamil it is called Kodadi Sandai. Nadikare Sandai. Big fight. As they were fighting, this man was just a spectator. Meanwhile, the public gathered. As the public gathered, the Rakshakas came, they dragged these two women to the court of the king. And the king ordered all those who were present in the scene should come. So they brought this Harsha poet also. So while king wanted to know how did the fight exactly begin, each woman gave one version. And nobody else was there to see how the fight began. That is when the king asked, can anyone say how the fight began? Then Sri Harsha said in Sanskritam, I was there in that scene. So I knew how it began. Tell me. But he said, see, I know only Sanskritam. These two women were fighting in the local language. So you don't know? No. Harsha said, I did not understand a single word these women spoke. But I will exactly tell you what they spoke. He, like a blotting paper, he just reread and said whatever these women, the women were supposed to whatever they spoke locally, abe, yeah, to be, whatever it was, exactly, it was repeated. What was the result? We don't know about the judgment, but Aitihim says the king said you are appointed to Sri Harsha. I have never seen a man with such great memory power. You are appointed. Sri Harsha was very good in poetry. Harsha's Naishadham is a kavyam. If you're all into Sanskritam, read this work. It is about Nala Damayanti. It is called Naishadham. Beautiful work. That poetry is at a different level. He gave one philosophical treatise as well on Advaita. Can anyone tell me the name of that work? The work of Sri Harsha on philosophy. I'll give you one hint. Khandana. Khandana Khanda Khadyam is one work. Very tough work. Very good he was. But the only thing was, for simple incidents, he will describe it in a very verbose and a very tough fashion. So commoners couldn't read his poetry. The king said, take a break. Go, take a break. Make it simple. Make it really, really simple. How will he make it simple? See, it is in his fitrat to make it tough. So the one way that you can bring the toughness down in those days was by eating urad dal. I said, what connection urad dal has got? The connection is, urad dal is uluttambar. Uddin bede anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ತೆಲುಗುలో you make for this vada and all you used it. മലയാളത്തിൽ എന്താണ് ഉളുത്തം പരിപ്പ്? Next, Hindi, urad dal. So you have understood what I wanted, that urad dal. So generally for vada and all, you have to grind it very well, keep it in the fridge and then make that vada. It will come out very nice. So then you take that vada, dip it in buttermilk and then add some curds mixed with coconut, some cashews, some red chilies and some bundi. Pattappa puts that. So you do this. This is called Tair vada, Dahi vada. Ayurveda says as you keep eating Tair vada, your memory power will come down. What is there? Sir, what is this? It is there. That is why in Veda Pathashala, prior to the Pariksha for 1 month, they will not serve the boys urad dal. Because Vedam is all about remembrance, right? You won't have script. Slowly it will make you weak, lethargic. So what Sri Harsha did was, let me consume urad vada so that I bring my sharpness down, so that my poetry becomes easy and accessible. So he took his 1 month sabbatical. He was having that vada. The king couldn't live without Harsha, because in those days administrators were all very educated. So he couldn't live without Harsha, the poet. So he said, Rakshakas, go spot Harsha. Harsha was spotted below the shade of a cart eating vada. That is when the Rakshakas asked, Harsha, Kim kurushe? What are you doing? What is that aksharam, that verb? Sha. Kim kurushe. You know what he said? Aham ashesha shemushi musha masha shishemi. He deployed that sha 6 times. Shemushi musha masha masha shishe mishe. I am eating the vadas that are made from the remaining urad dal, have been placed for many days now. That is the meaning. Shemushi, buddhi. Shemushi, bhakti rupa, we say shemushi. Musha, masha, masha, shishe, mishe. So he uses 6 shas. Why will Bhattatri not use that sha when Krishna is dancing? Adiruhya tadav paniraja panna nanrute bhavata mridupada rucha kalashinjitanu uramanjumilat karakang kvanasang palakvang kvanitam. Similarly, 400 years back in a small hamlet called Uttukadu, the poet imagined how Krishna danced. Tamidatajam tagadajam tagadikatajam tam tamidatajam tagadajam tagadikatajam tam nila manohara jala vibhushan niratisha nandana niraja tataka adiga mrudula pada nikata tarango tungata tanka nartaka nartakata tattom tattai Tigir jaga nandam yamuna tataka tunga tarangam himapataswar ramita shubhangam hitas tatas tata karuna pangam. So that is another way Uttukadu Kavi visualizes. Now, as per Sanatana Dharma sources and our granthams, the greatest dancer ever known is Shiva. Greatest dancer, when he dances, it is cosmic dance. Kalai tuki nindradum devame aadikondaranda vedikai kana kan ayiram vendamo idadu padam tuki aadum Nadarajana panivaye Ananda Natana Prakasham Chitsabesham. Like how auditors in Bharata Desham prefer to marry only auditors. So doctor will generally marry, preferably doctor. Now if you see, go to matrimony, we prefer a doctor who has done MD in the East Coast, must have done postdoctoral in the Midwest. Bhagavatha Sapthaham. So, Shiva was a dancer. He wanted to marry an equally talented dancer. He found that dancer in Parvati. Parvati is a very good dancer. As they were dancing, one day Parvati said, see, we cannot keep dancing in Himalayas, it's very cold. Let's go to a place where we don't have to bother about winter at all. Then Tamil Nadu was only option. Summerist. So, they arrived in a forest that was infested with the Tillai trees. So it was called Tillai Vanam. To make it a very beautiful pedestal for the both of them to dance, Vishwakarma constructed a sabha called Kanaka Sabha. So as Shiva dances, beautiful sabhas are made. Madama Madurayil Velliyambalam Kondai Madiku Nellaile Tamira Sabhai Kandai Idilar Kutralam Chitira Sabhai Kondan Edilalangadal Tanil Ratina Sabhai Kandan Adavallan Yammai Adavallan. As Shiva and Parvati reached Tillai Vanam, in Tillai Kanaka Sabha, they started dancing. Now they thought, let's compete, let's have a judge. They called Narayana as the judge. He was called Govindaraja. He was asked to decide who amongst us is a better dancer. As Shiva and Parvati were dancing, that day, Shiva's kundalam fell on the floor. Very good dancer, he danced. But in Natya Shastram, any guru will teach. When on stage, when something falls, you should not, you should keep dancing You should actually make that falling of the kundalam a part of your script. You should slowly do one jati, slowly pick it up, put it as if it was a part of the script and then go. So what Shiva did was, as he was dancing, he picked that kundalam with his two toes, put his leg at 180 degrees upwards and fit it. It is called urdhvam, where you do urdhva tandavam like this. Everybody appreciated. Wow, wow. And all effect and all came. Now Parvati stopped. She said, do you want to say that I can do it? And all she said. Then they asked Govindaraja who won. Govindaraja said, I think Shiva won. She went and sat at the end of Chidambaram called Tillai Kali. If you go to Chidambaram, you will find Tillai Kali. Next day again they said, today we will dance. Narayana said, see, every day if you keep dancing, I have other jobs to do. So he slept. In Chidambaram, Govindaraja will be in a reclining position. So Shiva and Parvati will keep dancing every day. One day Parvati stopped. Ruki. She's from Himalayas. In Tamil pesa kudada. Chidambarathil ullar helallava. Thirumavalam kepar. Adanaala she's from Himalayas. So she said, Ruki Shivji. Shiva stopped. Kya Paru? Kya hua? I didn't get that. We think that we are great dancers. Yes, we are. My brother is who? That fat boy. Let's go and see how he dances. What is so special about his dance, Parvati? See, when we dance Shiva, we dance and the stage doesn't dance. Whereas when my brother dances on Kaliya, he dances and the stage also dances. It is challenging for a dancer to dance on a dancing stage. My brother does that. So he has done something that we have not achieved. Let's go there. Adalai kana tillai ambala tiraivanum tan adalai vittu inge gokulam vandan oru vaadalinal shiriyadavani oru mamani ragani madavani adad ashankadva. So Shiva and Parvati, they came and saw that dance. Now what was the effect of the dance? Kaliya got migraine. He said, my head is aching. What do I do? Krishna. He said, this is a place where humans live. You are polluting the waters. It is very detrimental to Mother Nature if humans or animals pollute. It is a message for us. Leave this place. Then Kaliya said, see, if I leave this place, Garuda will come and eat me. See, Garuda has two forms. One is Vaibhava Garuda and Archavatara Garuda. Vaibhava Garuda means Garuda who carries Bhagavan in Krishna Avataram, all these Gajendra Moksham. That is Vaibhava Garuda, Vaibhava Avataram. Whereas Archa Garuda means who stays in the temples opposite Bhagavan. If you go to Narayana Sanadhi, you will see Garuda opposite. There is a difference. Vaibhava Garuda will eat real snakes. Archa Garuda will eat puliyodre. When I told this that Garuda had snakes, somebody said, I thought Garuda was vegetarian. Who told? Pure non-vegetarian. He will eat only snakes. But temple Garuda will have the prasadam that we give. He will have the sapararam. So Garuda said, if I go out of this place because of Shaubhari's Shapam to Garuda, that I was very safe here. If I go out, Garuda will eat me. Krishna offer me protection from Garuda. That is when Krishna said, don't worry, Garuda will do no harm. How sure are you about this? Because as I danced on you, my Shankha Chakra Mudra fell on your hoods. Looking at that, Garuda will not eat you. He says, then there is another incident. 3 times this occurs in Srimad Bhagavatam where there is a forest fire. To be very situational, had I spoken about this in Canada now or in LA, they would have related to this movie. Forest fire, 3 times. But what did Krishna do? I said, Krishna Avataram is all magical, don't apply logic here. When it was, the forests were burning and the friends said, Krishna, it is burning, what to do? Krishna said, close your eyes. They closed. Open your eyes. Krishna swallowed the fires. This is, I can't understand how Krishna swallowed. He swallowed. What can I do? That's what Bhagavatam says. Shikhini varna evahi pitata. Parilasat yadhuna kriyayapyasau itinutaf pashupair mudidai vibho harahare duridaihi sahame gadan. He swallowed. So how is fire related to this mouth? We say that Bhupadau. The earth that we all see are his feet. Bhupadau. Yasya nabhihi. Viyada sura anilaha chandra surya ucha netre. The light emanating astronomical bodies are his eyes. Chandra surya ucha netre. Karna vashaha. The directions that we can understand are his ears. Mukham api dahano. When he opens his mouth, there is fire. Mukham api dahanaha. Fire. Yasya vasteyam abdhihi. The oceans that we know are here. Antastham. So whatever you see from Akasham to Bhumi, all the Pancha Bhutas that you see are in his body. Who is he in his body? Antastham. Yasya Vishwam. Who all reside? Sura, Devas, Nara. We are Naras? No, we'll come in another category also. Sura, Nara, Khaga. Birds. Go. Where is the bird? Go means bovine, cattle. Bhogi. Bhogi means snakes. Reptiles are called bhogi. That is why Adishesha is the head of snakes. Bhogindra. Bhagavan reclines on Bhogindra. Bhogindra Shahinam. Bhogi, snakes. Sura, Nara, Khaga, Go, Bhogi, Gandharva. Gandharva group of singers. Gana Gandharvan yesetanale. Aadu Gana Gandharvan. Gandharvan mane singers. Gandharva Daityehi. I told you in another category also. Kadavul Padi, Murgam Padi. We are there in Nara and Daitya. Sura, Nara, Khaga, Go, Bhogi, Gandharva Daityehi. So imagine that body with all Panchabhutams, Panchatanmatrams, all of them. How is his body, sir? I can't even imagine. But Sahasranamam says, Chitram Ram Ramyatetam. He's very handsome. Tribhuvana Vapusham. The one who has got the Tribhuvanam as his Vapu, body. Isham Vishnumisham Namami. So mouth is fire. So he took that fire within his mouth. So this is Dahanam. Then after that there comes another important incident, which is Vratam and Viprapatni Sambhavam. Both go together. What is this Vratam? All the women in that point in time, they all wanted to marry Krishna. So if you're a man, unfortunately born during the times of Krishna, you have to remain a bachelor for eternity. Nobody will want to marry you. They all want to marry only Krishna. Hemante prathame masi nanda vrajakumarikaha Cheru harvishyam bhunjanaha Katyayanyarchana vratam Katyayani mahamaye mahayoginyadishwari Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi. They prayed to Parvati, Katyayani Maravairi Ramani Manju Bhashini Amba Maravairi Ramani. Maravairi Ramani. Can anyone tell what is the ragam of this kriti? All of you are experts in music. Very good. Nasika Bhushani. Dharma Samvardhini. Dharma Samvardhini. Dharma Sam. It's called Nasika Bhushani. Mara Vairi Ramani. Look at the words Tyagaraja deploys. Mara means who? Mara Nayar. 300 telephone names. Inga Mara. Maran means Cupid. Kandarpa. Mara Vairi. Who burnt Mara? Shiva. Ramani, the beloved of the one who burnt Mara. Mara Vairi Ramani. Manju Bhashini. So they prayed to Parvati. Parvati was confused because 5 lakh women are praying. For what? Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi. All of them want to marry. She has never heard such an unusual request. Parvati, enna pandadu utthariki That is when Krishna said, all you, my dear women of Vrindavanam, I like you all. But it's seriously not possible to marry the all of you. Then what do, Krishna? One autumnal night, I will give you an anubhavam which you shall remember for eternity. Wait for that night. As this was mentioned, Krishna along with his friends went to the forest, taming the cows and the calves. It was lunchtime. They hadn't carried food. The boys said, we are extremely hungry. Krishna said, there is a habitat where the Brahmanas are doing Angi Rasam. Angara means charcoal. So there is an association with the Rishi, so it was called Angira. So the descendants are called Angirasa. Similarly, Bharadwaja. Any Bharadwaja Gotras here? Bharadwajam? Very good. So, Bharadwaja, Brihaspati, Drona, they are all of one category. So they all came when Brihaspati and Utatya, you must have heard in Puranam, they were two brothers. Utatya had a wife called Mamata, soft Mamata. This Mamata is acceptable. So, this Mamata of Utatya's Dharmapatni, she had a child, and the child was abandoned by both his initial father and biological father, both by Utatya and Brihaspati. So this child that was a burden to the both was called Bharadwaja. So people who come in the clan of Bharadwaja are called Bharadwaja, Angirasa. Kashyapa, the lineage of Kashyapa is called Kashyapa. So you use that akaram to describe their lineage. So here Angirasam prayata deva yajanam brahmana brahmavadinaha satram Angirasam nama hyasate swargakamyaya. Beautiful incident, pay attention. Now, there was a habitat filled with the Brahmanas who were engaged in this yajnas swargakamyaya, which means they wanted a better position, so they were doing that yagam. So Krishna said, you are all hungry, my dear friends. Go ask these mamas for food. So these boys, when Krishna has said, Mama, you are hungry, Mama, give us food. These Brahmanas came. Who are you guys? We are from Vrindavanam, Mama. Okay, but who sent you here? Krishna sent us. Who is that Krishna? Krishna, Mama, he danced on that snake, he plays flute. We cannot give you. Get out. Mama, little food, Mama. No! Get out! So these boys came running to Krishna and said, Mama said, no food. Don't worry, go ask the mommies. So the boys went to the backyard and knocked at the back door, like equivalent to your garage door. They asked, Mommy, Krishna said, if we are hungry, you will give us food. Krishna has said, Krishna has trusted in us, take this food. And he can So all this was given. Sir, what is this incident? Some of you may have not heard this incident at all. It is there in Bhagavata. What significance? This man said, we will not give food. Mommy said, we will give food. There is a big message here. Pay attention. In Vedas, we have 4 buckets. Rik, Yajuhu, Sama, Atharvanam. How do we differentiate them? Whatever is prose is Yajurveda. Prose form is Yajur. When it is poetry, it is Rik. When that poetic form, which is Rig Vedam, is capable enough to be sung, it becomes Sama. The mantric portions of all the 3 Vedas is accumulated as Atharvanam. You have to pay attention to understand this. So you have got 4 Vedas here. Rig, Yajuhu, Sama, Atharvanam. I have created 4 columns. Now I'll draw rows. Each of the Vedas has 4 categories. Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita, Upanishad. The first three rows together describes the karma kandam, rituals. I cannot put it exactly, the word ritual is very limited. I would say karma. So it's called karma kandam. Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita of all the three Vedas is called row A, B, C. That is karma kandam. Row D talks about the underlying value of performing that karma, thereby the one who is propitiated through the karma, and thereby the one who grants the fruit for that karma, which is Paramatma. That particular line, that particular row is called Jnana Kandam. This Jnana Kandam is Upanishad. This particular last line is called Jnana Kandam. It describes the essence of the Vedas. But it is the last row of the Vedas, right? Antima Bhagam of the Vedas. So it is called Vedanta. So the last row is Upanishads. It is also called Vedanta. This is called Jnana Kandam. First three are called Karma Kandam. Now, keep this aside. So I have told you 4 Vedas, 4 rows. First 3 Karma Kandam, last is Jnana Kandam. Jnana Kandam is Upanishad. Upanishad is also called Vedanta. You should not forget. Now, let's go to Appendix B. In Appendix B comes the definition of the word Astika and Nastika. Today, in our modern parlance, after having watched many television channels and understood from 2 Prathamacharyas called Vikyacharya and Googleacharya. These are our 2 sources of knowledge, right? They'll come and say, Wikipedia says, Wikipedia says, Wikipedia says. So Wikipedia and Google are our 2 acharyas. Right? Jangama Parijata, wherever we go, they follow us. So in online sources, we get to know Astika means one who believes in God. Nastika means one who doesn't believe in God. Correct? Simple. That is not the definition. In Shastram, Asti means is there, hai. तो एक आदमी को पता होना चाहिए वो किस पे विश्वास करता है. Asti. What is Asti? What should he or she believe? 3 aspects you have to believe to call yourself an Astika and Astika. What are the 3 aspects? You should believe that Vedas are the ultimate source of knowledge. If you say, no, I don't think Vedas are, then you're an Astika. You can believe in God, but if you deny Vedas, then you're still an Astika, as per the definition of our Purvacharyas. Get the definition right. You have to believe that Vedas is the ultimate source of knowledge. Second, you have to believe in the Paramatma who has been indicated by the Vedas. Third, you have to believe that there is a Dhamam, an abode for the Paramatma. These 3 when come together make you an Astika. You say that Vedas Asti, there is Vedas. Paramatma Asti. Third, Dhamam Asti. So you are called Astika. Any one of this, 2 of this or all of this you deny, you are a Nastika. Na Asti. There is no. If you say Vedas are not there, I believe in the other 2, there is Paramatma and Dhamam, you are a Nastika. You believe in the Vedas but you don't believe in Paramatma and Dhamam, you are still a Nastika. So you are a Nastika. In the Tamil local parlance, the rowdies when they hit someone on a Nasti Panidu. That means I will ensure your Jivatma leaves the material body. All great Vedantins. Now, somebody asked me, sir, you know why in Tamil they generally say, sir, avana enna pannanum sangaruthu. Because as per Shastram, it is believed for the man and the woman there is a conch here, kambu grivam, sujata kantham. When you bend, you will see something sharp. It is believed it's like a conch. So he says, Sanga aruthruve. So he has learnt Vedanta. And somebody said, is he a Vishnu Bhakta? I said, how is a person engaging in such crime be a Vishnu Bhakta? He said, no sir, he is a Vishnu Bhakta. You know why Vishnu has Shankam Chakram? He said, சக்கரத்தால் அறுத்து சங்கூதிடுவார். So now coming to Astika Nastika, I told you, right? You can believe in the Vedas, you can completely conform to the Vedas, yet not believe in Paramatma. Correct? Such people who believed in the Vedas, performed the karmas as mentioned in the Vedas, religiously, sincerely, but did not believe in Paramatma were called Purva Mimamsakas. So these men who were doing the yagam sincerely for Swarga Kamyaya but did not believe in Paramatma, hence did not see the Paramatma's presence in Krishna and did not offer the food, were Purva Mimamsakas. Whereas the wives believed in the Vedas that their husbands were relying on and also believed in Paramatma, so they were Uttara Mimamsaka. So husbands were Nastika, wife is Astika. In Tamil Nadu, you've got an example. Husband will be a Nastika, wife will go temple after temple. So, Tatra Gatva Udanam Gopa Yachata Asmadvida Sarjitaha Kirtayanto Bhagavataha Aryasya Mamachabidham. So, why husband is a Purva Mimamsaka, wife is an Uttara Mimamsaka. He doesn't realize Krishna, wife realizes Krishna. We see, right, husband will vote for one party, wife will vote for the other. So, this is Viprapatni Sambhavam. After Viprapatni Sambhavam, one day Nandagopa was discussing with his friends. Abala Prekshaniyam Pranata Nimishairadbhutanam Pradhanam Bhuta Trailokya Dosham Dvajamamarapate Sturnamuthapayantaha Krishtirnamarchana Vistuti Gunanikaya Gita Nrityopaharair Udvela Priti Lola Vidadhura Vikalair Utsavam Gopa Vriddhaha. The incident is very clear where Nandagopa was discussing with his friends how to celebrate the annual Mahotsavam for Indra. For Indra, they used to do Indrotsavam once a year to commemorate his services. So they were discussing. That is when Krishna entered the Sabha, he said, Viditavaniva Vignapayamyaham Shrunutame Shakuneriva Bhagyitam. He said, see, all elderly people are discussing. Don't think I'm a tiny dot trying to intrude. I'm just like a parent. I just want to know what are you discussing. Nandagopa said, Krishna, what is there to hide? We have been celebrating Indrotsavam every year. We are just making some arrangements for the Indrotsavam here. We are getting a long weekend. So we are celebrating Indrotsavam now. Krishna said, for what? For Indra. For what? Because he gives us rains. Papa, he gives us rains, which is his duty. When we do yagam, we offer havis, Indra, Yasvaha. In return for that, he is giving. He has been ordained by Paramatma to have all the clouds under his jurisdiction and do precipitation every now and then. That's his duty. For fulfilling one's responsibility or duty, we don't have to give a mamul. You're all very naive. You don't know. Get mamul long. Mamul means under the table. Very new. So to get, see, so that is a 5-letter magical word called bribe. So Krishna said, see, it is Indra's duty to give us rainfall. He is not doing a meherbani by giving us rainfall. We don't have to do an Indra Mahotsavam. If at all you want to motivate your own men of a festival, do commemorate the services offered selflessly by someone as important as Govardhanam, whose slopes offer grass to our cows. When Krishna said this, immediately Nandagopa said, okay Krishna, whatever you say. That is the difference between them and us. If we had been there, why? Tell me. இப்படிலாம் கேட்டுப்பா, அதனால தான் பெருமாள் இங்க பிறகு புனரபி ஜனனம் புனரபி மரணம். They never question. I'm not saying questioning is bad, but questioning shouldn't be made one's hobby. Have this modak. Why is modak made? Why is modak made? Ask questions which will help you become a better individual or something that is intriguing your mind in philosophy. Don't ask questions for everything. Lanthanides and actinides have been placed separately out of the Mendeleev's table. Did we ever ask why? We say no, Mendeleev must have done it for a purpose. Believe the same thing in Shastra. Rishis would have done it for a purpose, that's all. People think that continuous questioning will make them look very bright. At times it makes you very dull. So those men, Gopakumara said, if Krishna says there will be a purpose, that's all. Immediately, what do we do now, Krishna? Krishna immediately said, we have to do Annakutotsavam. We have to cook different varieties of dishes, carry them in our bullock carts to the foothill of Govardhana Parvatam. Immediately they listened, they took all the food varieties in bullock carts and placed before Govardhana Parvatam. First they spread the dhoti of their mamas. Mama veshti illa. And then mama's veshti is a multi-purpose veshti. Mama's dhoti. So, white boiled rice in Shivalayams, it is called as Annabhishekam. So, huge mountain of cooked rice was placed on top of it. See, Vedanta Deshika, being the poet, has to describe it. He says that the hill of cooked rice was akin to Kailasha Parvatam, and on it was placed the concocted tamarind paste called Pulikachal. That was akin to the dark clouds that were enveloping the sky above Kailasham, he says. Why should they be dark? Because if at all somebody has been to your kitchen, you will realize that Pulikachal is made technically from old tamarind, which is dark hue. So, all sweet varieties were placed. And these Gopakumaras, Gopikastris said, Krishna, we are placed for Govardhanam. But they were so naive, so unadulterated in devotion that they said the mountain should eat. Why do we place prasadam to Bhagavan? Under the full confidence that he will not eat. If he starts eating, we will reduce the quantity. So these Gopakumaras were very innocent. They will not take 2,000 and vote. So all the food varieties were placed, and they said, Krishna, mountain has to have. How will the mountain eat? So Krishna said, you all do a parikrama around the mountain. So they all took the 21-kilometer parikrama. By then, Krishna, aham vaishvanaro bhutva pranina dehamashritaha pranapana samayuktaha pachamyannam chaturvidham. He is the antaratma for Govardhanam. He ate. As soon as they came, they were so happy. Krishna, everything is eaten. So everything was empty. Now comes the real game. They all went home. Narada went to Indrapattinam and asked, Indra, Mamul, vachinda? That is when Indra said, Ippudu vastundi. Ledu babu. No, you say no, Narad? Yes, it won't come. Why? Because the Utsavam is already done for Govardhanam. Kya? And Indra got angry. He called the Samvartaka Megham. It is akin to the cloud burst that we all see. There was torrentious downpour, rainfall in Vrindavanam. Despite none of the houses being constructed on the lake side, their houses got flooded. And the TV, the fridge and everything that they got in the last election started floating. And they all swam towards Krishna's house, and they opened Krishna's house to see what Krishna was to offer. Krishna was eating. See, he is like Aung San Suu Kyi. Men may come, men may go, but I go on forever. So he was eating. That is when they said, Krishna, it is pouring, we are all floating and it's all flooded and we're shivering. So they spoke while they were shivering, right? The poet says, Stanahita swastika bahubandha. Swastika bahubandha. Like a swastikam, their hands were held like this. If you see the shape, you'll get the swastikam. Styanalaka sannata vaktra padmaha. So in that small pond-like face which was drenched in waters, were their eyes born like lotuses. Vaktra padmaha. Vilagna deha vasanair Vashiyan Vrajastriyo Vadita Dantavinaha. When they spoke as if Veena was attached to their mouth. Vadita Dantavinaha. See, look at the imagination of the poet. So they all said, Krishna, we are all suffering, what do we do now? Krishna said, don't worry, follow me. They all swam along with Krishna. Again, something that I can't explain, you can't imagine, don't search for logic. Krishna drew one line out of the mountain, he lifted the mountains. Come again? He lifted the mountain. He lifted the mountain. This is what one Puranam says. Another Puranam goes to the extent of telling he reversed the mountain. Sir, how can you reverse the mountain? If he has lifted the mountain, can't he reverse it? He reversed. Why did he reverse? For that there is a reason. Then only the cow can feed on the grass. He reversed the mountain and held. When he held the mountain, the rays that emanated from the precious stones that were studded to his nails looked like the spokes of an umbrella. And as waters poured on the mountain and they landed in all directions, they looked like beautiful decorations made to the umbrella. And he held it like that for 6 days. Go. Yashoda came and was athered. Why should my son alone keep lifting the mountain? Oh, pille koopde. En kulandeye va thooki pidikkanum. Chummava irukku on pille dandathu koopudu. Men gathered around Nandagopa and they said, Nandagopa, yes. Is this truly your son? Nandagopa had that doubt. Ivar oru karyam pannadilla. Namma pilla malayalam thookide. Krishna held that mountain. Govardhana Giridhara Govinda Gokula Palaka Paramananda Govardhana Giridhara Shri Vatsankita Shri Kaustubhadhara Pavaka Bhaya Hara Pahi Mukunda Govardhana Giridhara. He held the mountain. See, this position of Krishna was that position which Meera fixed Krishna. So her mudra itself was Govardhana Giridhara. Tat mat bandhu bhrat apna na koi prabhu chhad gayi kul ki kahani kya karega koi more to giridhar gopal दूसरो न कोई असुवन जल सींच सींच प्रेम बेल बोई दसी मीरा प्रभु. So she uses Giridhara. That is why if you go to that entire stretch from Dakur Dwaraka, Mula Dwaraka, Mukti Dwaraka, Sudhama Dwaraka, Bed Dwaraka, Rukmini Dwaraka, Gomati Dwaraka, Nath Dwaraka, Kankroli Dwaraka, through the Aravalis till Ahmedabad, which is Karnavati, it is called Navad Dwaraka. All of there, Krishna will be like this, in the lifting position. That is why 400 years back, through Pushti Sampradayam, a painting also came up based on this called Pichwai. So you have that position. Giridhara Gopala Pala Giridhara Gopala. He lifted the mountain. He held the mountain for some time. Then they all went. The clouds were bereft of waters. The dark clouds turned white. Sky was all clear. They all went home. Then Krishna placed that mountain. See, that's another. People say, what is the takeaway from this? He kept that mountain back in the same place. That is the takeaway, which is a very important thing. Some people will take things they'll never keep back in the place. So learn from Krishna. He kept what is the takeaway? Please give us the takeaways. This is the takeaway. Now, he kept that mountain in the same place. Now, what happened after that? Indra, like how Brahma did an apacharam earlier, about 25 minutes back through Vatsapaharanam. Now Indra did that mistake without realizing, taking into cognizance the omniscience and the omnipotence and the Satyatvam, Jnanatvam, Anantatvam, Anandatvam, Amalatvam, which is called Pancha Swarupa Nirupaka Dharmam of Paramatma. Without taking cognizance, he had done this grave mistake. Now he realizes his mistake and he comes. This is where we need to contrast it with Ramavataram. In Sri Ramavataram, towards the start, Upodghatam, the Devas come and seek asylum in Narayana, stating Siddhagandharvayat Ikshascha Tatastvam Sharanam Gataha. There are many demoniac forces headed by Ravana who are extremely antisocial. Please be born so that you do Dharma Samsthapanam Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam Dharma Samsthapanarthaya. Then Bhagavan said, don't worry, Indra, fikar mat karo, I will be born as Dasharatha's son Rama. He walked the entire stretch of the Dandaka forest. He annihilated the demoniac kings Karadushana Trishiras, went to Lanka, destroyed Ravana and came back to Ayodhya and had Rama Pattabhishekam. Who asked for Bhagavan to be born? Indra, under the head of other Devas. Who came back again? Bhagavan came back as Rama. What happened? Pattabhishekam. Who should have attended? Indra. But sadly, in Ramayanam, in Yuddhakandam, in Rama Pattabhishekam happens, everyone but Indra. So Indra doesn't come, everyone but Indra, they all come. So Indra sends his one gift in FedEx. He says, you take it, and then that chain was given. Now the point is, for Rama Pattabhishekam, Indra, who was supposed to come, didn't come. Everybody else came. In Krishna Avataram, Krishna thought, I need to complete that circuit. So when Krishna lifted Govardhanam, he held Govardhanam. Govardhanam was like a crown for Krishna. It was a large size crown though, but it was a crown. So when Pattabhishekam is held, you need waters. For this, Indra ensured Kamadhenu, Nandini, all the divine cows, Arogya, Avin, Mother Dairy, all of them they gave and poured milk. So there it was water, here it is milk. There it was crown, here it was mountain. There it was Rama Pattabhishekam. Since he protected the cows, it is called Govinda Pattabhishekam. This is Govinda Pattabhishekam. Who came for Rama Pattabhishekam? Everyone. Who didn't come? Indra. For Govinda Pattabhishekam, no one else came but Indra. Patita Sura Ripu Padapa Brunda Pavana Charita Paramruta Kanda Natya Rasos Ghata Nana Bharana Narayana Dirtharchita Charana Govardhana. So how did Indra spot Krishna? That is where there is a shlokam in Bhagavatam. When Indra came, Garudam cha dadashocha uchchair antadvantagatam dvijaha. He spotted Garuda flying in the sky whose shade was falling on Krishna. The one over whom Garuda flies will be Narayana. Andal says, Vinadai Sirvan Siragennum Mela Pinkil Varuvanai Vrindavanate Kandome. So, Indra came and asked for Kshamapanam. There is Indrastuti. So, this is Govardhanodharanam. Now, Krishna was extremely into music. Sarigama Dha. It's Dha because it's Daivatam, not Daivatam. Daivatam. Pa Dhani Sa Sari Satari Tari Tatari Riga Mama Riga Riga. लंबोदर लकुमि करो वरवीणा मृदुपाणि कमल जादल पदुमनाभ परम पुरुष ररविणु गोपपल. He finished Swarajati Ninnuku That is when the teacher told Krishna, you choose some instrument. So Krishna wanted to be practical. Veena is beautiful, but to carry Veena is a problem. So the easiest was Venu. As he was walking by the waters of Yamuna, he saw the bamboo sway. He broke, made some holes. Yadavaraya Vrindavana Venu Nadava Madutire Radha Muntada. He started playing the flute. As he played the flute, he had to give a Divyanubhavam one day. One night, it was an autumnal night. Skies were clear, the trees were bereft of the leaves. Clear skies, beautiful moon. 8 o'clock in the night, the flute music was heard, melodious music. The women were extremely fascinated. They were mesmerized. They were in a trance. They were not even, they were oblivious of the fact that the milk was boiling. Somebody was asking for something. They just exited their houses. Not 1, nor 2, nor 10, nor 50, nor 100, nor 500, nor 1,000. 5 lakh women, says Bhagavatha Sapthaham, how they lived. All of them got out of their houses. Like mesmerized creatures. They started walking towards the place from which the music was emanating. I told this somewhere. Doubt, they asked what? Why didn't the men come? The men came, why didn't the men come? See, Shastriya Sangeetam, classical music, in my humble opinion, IMHO, is an acquired taste. It is not something that you can ask everybody to appreciate and understand. Kamakshi Kanchika. That is how it is sung. That Swarajati is sung that way. O so sina madi yunna. When you go to Padam, one line, 15 minutes it will take to complete. But you should learn how to appreciate that. It is an acquired taste. If you don't appreciate it, it's okay. There's no harm. But it is very wrong to expect everyone to appreciate. That is Shastriya Sangeetam. Inkem kavale. Easy. It's so easy. Whereas when you go to a kriti, Chete understanding this Jujavanti, going up, coming down is tough. I attempted this with my father. My father is not into music at all. He's nowhere in the periphery. So I told him, see, it's an acquired taste. You attend to a concert, you will really appreciate. I brought my father to a concert, forcefully coaxed him, sit in the concert. First is Varnam. Somehow we can manage because there are fast Varams there. Next will be a short kriti. Next comes a larger kriti where you delineate a line. You have to show that Raga Bhavam, Sahitya Bhavam. In Shastriya Sangeetam it is called Niraval. So you take that line and go on and on. Kapivaridhi datuna kaliki rotta kattutuna kapivaridhi datuna kaliki rotta kattutuna kapivaridhi datuna kaliki rotta kattutuna kapivaridhi 20 times. My father asked, did he forget the next line? I said, I made a grave mistake by bringing you to the concert. That man is pending his throat 20 minutes. So, Karnataka Sangeetam, Shastriya Sangeetam, some so-called Vidwans say that we have to take it everywhere. It is not easy. So, where does this relate to? So, the men in Vrindavanam were my fathers. So they were not mesmerized by the music at all. They thought it is the flute music played in the elevator of 5-star hotels. Whereas the women came out of their houses in batches and like herds. They all walked towards the place from which the music came. The drone's camera will give you a beautiful shot. The meandering dark waters of Yamuna. The sands on either side that were glistening to the nectarine rays of the moon that looked as if argent and silver, which is malleable and ductile, were made into fine powder. To the background of beautiful hills that were rocky in nature and where the birds were waiting to witness a dance that was unparalleled and unsurpassed. The clear skies where the Tumburus and the Naradas had come to witness a dance that they would never see in the future. As Krishna was standing below the shade of a Kunda Shakha, Kundam is a tree. Kunda Shakha, he was standing. When Krishna stands, there are 2 verses written. See, if Krishna sneezes, 10 shlokas. If Krishna burps, 15 shlokas. Every moment of Krishna will be tracked. When he stood, it's called Tribhangam. See, in dance, when you learn various mudras with your hands. How you have to show a parrot, how you have to show ahwanam. All these are all mudras. Similarly, you learn how to stand. It's called Tribhangam. Very nice, where you have to bend your shoulder, you have to tilt your hip, you have to bend your knee and then move your feet. See, in the 1980s, 90s, when photographers used to take, the reception, typical 1980s, there will be one asanam put on the stage. The boy and the girl will be standing, queue of people will be coming. The girl's parents, boy's parents will be there. The photographer will say, smile. They'll be standing like for national anthem. So, so, if you have not been anywhere close to dance, it is very tough to get that emotion immediately. So you should immediately, so that Tribhangam, see, even when you pose for your photo, there should be a slight movement. Krishna stood in Tribhangam, says Puranam. See, every word of Bhagavatam has a meaning. So he stood in Tribhangam. Now Krishna said, see, 5 lakh women folk, half is our way, you have landed, where will I be able to tame you all? Now stand in concentric circles. So they were concentric circles. They immediately listened. 5 lakh women, take a minimum radius from the center and then calculate with minimal space for the oxygen to come in and carbon dioxide to move out. There will be some fire protocols, martial protocols there. So all that, they were all standing. Now Krishna was in the middle. So Krishna said, can you hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Echo, it should reach the last row. They said, yes, yes, yes. Now Krishna said, close your eyes. Leave a gap between the two. So there should be a gap, a woman, a gap, not the brand. Gap, the woman, the gap, the woman. So close your eyes. They closed. Open, they opened. They were surprised. On either sides was Krishna. On either sides were women. If Krishna was the center, Anganam Anganam Antare Madhavo Madhavam Madhavam Cha Antare Nangana Itham Akalpite Mandale Madhyagaha Sanjagau Venuna Devaki Nandanaha. Now the central Krishna played the flute and they were to dance. Bhattatri Narayaniyam imagines this happening in Kerala. In Kerala, there are different forms where you exhibit a story. Kadai. Katha is story. Katha becomes kadai. Kadai Kalikkum Gali. A dance that tells you a story is Kadagali. And then there is something where you move your hands. It's called Kaigottu Kali. And in Guruvayur, there is an atom called Krishnattangali. And then there is Mohini Atam, where you use your eyes and move. So Bhattatri regionalizes it. Like how, in food varieties, you always regionalize that variety, right? A person from China wouldn't know of gobi Manchurian at all. Where will you know of gobi Manchurian? So the gobi is being localized. Now, Bhattatri does that for here. So when Manchurian has become gobi Manchurian, not gopi. Gopi Mama Manchurian. So here, when Krishna plays the flute, the dance is being localized to Kerala. Keshapashadhrita pinchika vidati sanchalan makara kundalam. Keshapashadhrita pinchika vidati sanchalan makara kundalam. Harajalavana malika lalitam Ghana Saurabham Pita Chela Dhrita Kanchi Kanchita Mudan Jagam Shumani Nupuram Rasa Keli Paribhushitam Tabahiru Pamisha Kalaya Mahi. As they were dancing, one 60-year-old woman, she was also dancing along with them. She had a vertigo problem. She swooned. Where did she swoon? She fell onto the sandalwood paste smeared shoulders of the neighboring Krishna. So the other Krishna got some drops of gold spot and bobonto and sprayed it on her. She was to come back to consciousness, but she thought if she came back to consciousness, she would lose the golden opportunity to lie on his shoulders, so she acted as if she was still unconscious. Bhattatri says, he may not know, but I have noticed. Vinnasannatanu vallari dadanu kapinama pashu pangana sandramam samavalam badesmadrita kanti bharam kulekshana kachida chalita kundala navapatira saraghana saurabam vanchanena tava sanchuchumba bhuja manchitoru pulakangura. So when they describe Rasa Krida, Madhusudana Saraswati wrote a commentary exclusively on the Vedanta called Rasa Panchadhyayi. What is the philosophy behind this? He danced well, beautiful dance, Kai Gotti Kali, Kada Kali, Kuchipudi, everything is fine. But what is the philosophy? I'll briefly tell you. When we divide the Srishti, that which is present, the content of this creation, we categorize them into three buckets. Chetana, Achetana, Ishvara Tattvam. This is called Tattvatrayam. We've got three. Chetana, Achetana, Ishvara. What is Chetana? Jivatma. What is Jivatma? That which is the substratum to knowledge. It is knowledge personified and is also the substratum to knowledge. What is knowledge? Then knowledge is twofold. Dharmi Jnanam, Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. That knowledge which keeps reminding you of its simple presence is called Dharmi. I. That knowledge is called Dharmi. There is no other duty that it performs. That is why that I will keep staying awake even while you are asleep. That is why when the next morning when somebody asks, did you sleep well? Yes, I slept well. There, if you have slept well, how do you know that I slept well? So in that sentence, I slept well, slept 12 denotes the body. So the body slept well. But while the body slept well, the I did not sleep. So I is f of x, function of x. In maths we have x and function of x, right? So separate that. So I slept well. Slept well is taken separately. Slept well is for the body. I is for the Atma. I, that knowledge is called Dharmi. That knowledge personified Dharmi becomes a substratum for another knowledge called as the attributive knowledge called Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. That Jnanam will ignite and stay active only when it is in contact with an external object. See, for example, a 2-year-old boy. That boy is told by the grandfather, Kanna, Patti's making masala vada. So that boy is shown that masala vada, he sees the crispy nature of the masala vada, he sees the masala vada, his eyes see it. Nose associates the smell with the vada. When he sees a person known to him crunch it, he gets to hear the sound of the vada. Because you hear the sound also, right? So sound, texture, smell, all this comes together, and that knowledge that this is masala vada and its attributes gets into the boy's brain. 6 months later, when they make the masala vada, the grandfather doesn't have to tell the child. When that smell goes into the boy's nose, the boy will say, masala vada. Why? Because that nose or eye comes in contact with that object. But that knowledge is active only until that object is in contact. That is called Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. That is why, let's take a person who is in the coma state. The person is not dead. The Dharmic Jnanam is there. I is there. But Dharma Bhuta Jnanam is not active. Because though the sensory comes in contact with that object, that sensory doesn't attach a connection to the brain. So Dharma Bhuta Jnanam is inactive, Dharmic Jnanam is active. So Jivatma is that Dharmic Jnanam which is a substratum to Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. Hence it is called Chetanam. That which is not a substratum to Dharma Bhuta Jnanam is Achetanam. So this mic is Achetanam. My material body is Achetanam. But there is a Chetanam called Jivatma within. Does this have an Jivatma in it? It has. Very good. It has a Jivatma. See, remember this slide. Nama Rupa Karavani says Shastram. Anything that has a name and a form will have a Jivatma. This has a name, mic. This has a form, you can see it. There will be a Jivatma. But what difference do we have between me and here? My Jivatma is within the material body, Panchabhautika Shariram, and its Jnanam pervades my body and makes it active. Here the Jivatma to the mic will be attached in its periphery. It would have not pervaded. Because that Jivatma is awaiting a body. In IRCTC we will have something called wait list. That Jivatma is waiting for a material body. Till then it will attach itself to the object. So this is Achetanam, over which the Jivatma doesn't have any control. This is also Achetanam, under which there is a Chetana. So Chetana, Achetana are two categories, sir. It's very boring. That is how Vedanta is. So this Chetana and Achetana is controlled by the Paramatma. Now understand, what is this body? Stand up on the bench. What is this body? Achetana. What is the Jivatma? Chetana. There is an Antaratma to the Jivatma. Andariki Shri Hare. Antaratma. Hari is the Antaratma who is there within the Jivatma. So you have two layers. Achetanam, the body. Chetana, the Jivatma. And Paramatma, which is the Antaryami to the Jivatma. So for Paramatma, both the Jivatma and this body are the body. They are covering. So for the entire Srishti, all the Gopastris, their Jivatmas are the Chetana, their bodies are Achetana. That Gopastri's body and Jivatma are Krishna's body. So if Krishna dances with them, it doesn't mean he's dancing with them. He's touching his own body because of Sharira Shariri Bhavam. So Rasa Krida is an exact exemplification of Sharira Shariri Bhavam, says the Vedanta. Sir, dance itself was easy, sir. So, now, in this, towards the end of Rasa Krida, whenever we think of Krishna, who's that one name that comes to your mind? Radha. Easy, sir. But you'll be surprised, there is no mention of Radha in Bhagavatam. There is no mention of Radha in Vishnu Purana. Kya kare? What do we do now, sir? In Devi Bhagavatam, there is one remote line. Radhnoti Sakalan Kaman Radheti Prakirtita. There was a lady called Radhika Radha who helps in getting our sins annihilated. That's all. In Skanda Puranam, Padma Puranam, there were some lines. But Bhagavatam and Vishnu Puranam, no Radha. What do? We don't have to worry anything. Because Ashtapadi Gita Govindam Jayadeva says, I have learned from people that there was a lady called Radhika. What is this Radhika story about? In Ashtapadi Gita Govindam, roughly 1000 years back, in the state of Odisha, there was a great poet called Jayadeva. He married a courtesan lady called as Padmavati. Padmavati Ramanam. So he used to write and she used to dance. So he wanted to come up with a kavyam that commemorates Radha and Krishna's Maitri Bhavam and Sringara Bhavam. It is told that when Krishna was named Krishna upon his birth, Radhika, who was the daughter of the opposite person's, the neighbor's daughter, she was 6 years of age, older to Krishna. So she used to play with Krishna. One day, when Krishna was around 9 or 10 years of age, Yashoda couldn't withstand. She said, Radhika, mere bete ko park pe le jao. I've got so much of work. So Radhika took Krishna to Panagal Park. So, as it was around 5:36 in the evening, they sat on a bench, said they wanted some caramel popcorn, and Radhika said, here. And she called, and by the time she turned, she saw Krishna had gone away. There was some other person seated, very much like Krishna, very agile, very strong, very beautiful, very handsome, with bell-bottoms pant, curly hair. She asked, who are you, may I know? I'm Krishna. You were 10 years now, how did you become 16? So that I can dance with you. That's when the Shringaram develops as per Jayadeva. She says, I shall wait by the banks of river Yamuna. I'll wait for you, Krishna, come and meet me there. That is when Radhika has one Sakhi. In Ashtapadi, there is one Sakhi. That Sakhi will go supervise and let her know what Krishna is doing. Then she asks her Sakhi, can I dance with Krishna now? Is it the right time? The Sakhi says, yes, there is Shringaram, there is love in the air. What is love in the air? Which means there is intoxicating smell. When you have the smell of clove, cardamom and sandalwood, that was regarded as Shringara Swadam. Lalita lavanga lata parishilana komala malaya samire radhe lalita lavanga madhukara nikara karambita kukila kujita kunja kudire viharati haririha sarasava sante. So the Sakhi says, there is smell. Radhika, this is the right time for you to love. Where is Krishna? Krishna is not there to love, he has to come. He doesn't come. 8:30 ho gaya. Then she says, check on Krishna and see what he's doing. So the Sakhi goes and comes back and says, Radha, I want to say, but you should take it. Be strong with what I say. Tell me what Krishna is doing. See, the other Gopikas threes went to the market and bought logs of chandanam, sandalwood. They wanted to test the quality of the sandal. So what did they do, my dear friend? They asked Krishna to bend and started rubbing it on his back. He's with the woman there. Yes. Chandana chachita nila kalebara pita vasana vanamali. Then she's so upset, Radhika. He told me, he promised that he will surely come and have chai latte with me. But he hasn't come. I'm afflicted in love. The nectarine rays of the moon seem scorching to me. The smell of the sandalwood, which is supposed to be effervescent, is obnoxious to me. Nindati chandanam indu kirana manu vindati khedamadiram vyala nilaya milane nagaralamiva kalayati malaya samiram savirage tavadina Krishna savirage. So she expresses her anguish. Then finally Krishna comes. Dhira samire yamuna tire. He comes. She's mad at him. You said you will come by 8:30. It is now 3, Krishna. I've been waiting all along. Like how people are waiting when I'll complete my lecture. She said, no, you are not. How long, however long ago you'll sit. You are all such great bhaktas. Radhika says, Krishna, I'm upset with you. She doesn't even look at Krishna. Krishna says, ek baar, sirf ek baar, dekh lo, Radha. Nahi dekho. Krishna says, if you're so mad at me, show your anger on me, bite me. There's one shloka there, bite me. Use your sharp nails to scratch on my skin. If nothing works, keep your feet on my head. Mama shirasi mandanam. Vadasi yadi kinchidapi dantaruchi kaumudi haratu tarati miram. You know how Krishna tells Radhika, he says, see, my life is very dark, Radha. She'll ask, right, how to brighten it? When you smile, the whiteness that comes from your teeth will brighten my life. Ippadiyella pesuvana. Maamiya paathitu. Nee siriye. Siricha en vaalkai enbadhu avade ஒளிமயமாக மாறும். மாமிக்கு எல்லா பல்லியும் எடுத்துருந்தா என்ன பண்ணுறது? So, vadasiyadi kinchidati. Talk something. ஏதோ பேசு. ஏதோ vadasiyadi kinchidapi dantaruchi kaumudi haratu taratimiram adighoram. He addresses her. Priye charushile, priye charushile. Men should learn how to talk from Krishna. Priye charushile. Yaar adu charu? Kisalaya shayanatale guru kamini. That is why Radha, though she is not present in Bhagavatam, she is present in our hearts. See, Radha is love, the pristine love. Shringaram. Vedanta Deshika and Yadavabhyudayam in 3 places gives importance to Radhika. Bhattatri gives importance to Radhika in 2 places. Radha was very upset when other women would move with Krishna. Immortal song. Pullangudali shaini mainale ullame jillena tullada. Pullangudali shaini mainale ullame jillena tullada. Ragatile anuragame vinar jagame unjalilada. Vrindavanamum Nandakumaranum yavarkum podu selvamandro. Yeno Radha inda puramai yadanalagal mayangadavaro. Kannanin unnada leelayai ninaithaal thannaiye marandida cheyyada. Yeno Radha inda puramai yadanalagal mayangadavaro. See, Krishna Avataram will take us to Shringaram. In Rama Avataram, that bhakti will be there. See, the moment you become Radhika and you say, Rama, I love you and all, shoot panaka. Distance. Romba acharam. Krishna Rabdila. Shoot panaka has she proposed to Krishna. அது ஒரு சந்நிதியை மேல வச்சிருப்பேன். ஷூட் பண்ணக்கா கல்யாணம் ஒரு நாம சங்கீதத்துல மாமியை நம்ம மாட்டு பண்ண மாதிரி. So Akrura was the most trusted and wise minister in Kamsa's court. Kamsa did have a wise minister. So Akrura, he said, Akrura, you please go bring Krishna, because all his attempts had failed. All the rowdies were over. His WhatsApp group, all of them defunct, because all of them dead. Baka, Baki, Putana, Aga, Kapranamba, Keshi, all of them dead. So he said, it's better to call him to my court, my arena. He said, Akrura, you go. Akrura was waiting for that opportunity. See, it's very beautiful in Bhagavatam. He was waiting when he would see Krishna. It was a God-given opportunity. He said, Kamsa, I'll go bring Krishna. So Akrura Gamanam in Bhagavatam is extremely important. His sojourn to Vrindavanam to fetch Krishna. It's called Akrura Gamanam. Till he met Krishna, his mind was, how will Krishna be? How will he look? Will he look the way people have described to be? Will he have those bunch of peacock feathers or just one? Will his hair tresses be as curly as what people have described? They say it is effervescent dark and it is also glistening. Will that have the glisten and the radiance what people describe? Will his teeth look as if the stars were fitted from the constellations on the upper and the lower jaws? Will his cheeks look as if the emerald mountains were scooped and there were 2 layers of butter that were put over those emerald mountains so that he would glisten with the stone studded in his fish like earrings on either side? So every step of Akrura Gamanam to Vrindavanam is indescribable. Like how, see, there should be a simile. If you're a poet, you have to give a simile. Andal gives a simile in the Tamil language. She says, Povan Pogindrarai Pogamal Kathu. What is Povan Pogindrarai? The commentator says, where the journey is more interesting than the destination. When the journey is more enjoyable, blissful than the destination, the journey in itself becomes the destination. Like how she has to give an example. She says, the commentator says, Tirumalai Yatirayai Pole, like Tirupati Yatra. 900 years back this commentary was written. Like Tirumala Yatra. Tirumala was not that famous then because you had no TTD, one way up, one way down, 10,000 rupees ticket, VIP ticket, to mala, to one thing was there. It was infested with leopards and monkeys, Mandipa. Nobody was there atop the hill. Imagine a Tirupati that way. That state of Tirupati came only in 2020 when Modi ji declared a lockdown. Empty. But how is our Tirumala Tirupati? That is one kshetram today in Sanatana Dharma which will always keep us on pins and needles. Till you get the darshanam, you won't be sure. You will go to either Hyderabad, Vijayawada, Bengaluru or Chennai or Coimbatore, wherever you go. From there you will take a journey. You will reach the foothills of the mountain. There will be a huge Garuda replica. On either sides there will be yantram. You have to get down from your vehicle, take all the luggage, put it in that yantram. Declare that I am not carrying any dangerous goods. check So I will show all that. Then you have to keep all the luggages back. Then you have to go one hill after the Srimad Makila Mahimahi Mandala Dharani Dhara Mandala Kandalasya Nikhila Sura Suravandita Varaha Kshetra Vibhushanasya Shesha Chala Garuda Chala Simha Chala Vrishabha Chala Narayana Chala Anjana Chala Trishikari Mala Kulasya. You go on top of the mountain. Time will be given for darshan. Next morning you go to Vaikuntha Dwaram. You have to walk. Like Vaikuntha, you should not carry anything in your hand. No phone, nothing. So you have to go there. Then cage after cage, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tavaha, Satyam. Then there will be one setu connecting this side to that temple. You have to climb that bridge, then go alongside the wall. Then there will be a Dvitiya Yantram there. They will check you again. Keshadi Padam. Padam Bhojam Sprishati Bhajate Ranganathasya Jankam Urudvande Vilagatishanehi Urdhvamabhetinavim Pakshasyaste Valati Bhujayor Mamikeyam Manisha Vaktra Bhikyam Pipati Vasate Vasanam Aulibandhe. Head to toe to head, they'll check you. And then you'll go below that Gopuram, there'll be cold waters washing your feet. Then you will do a pradakshinam around the 15th century, 13th to 15th century Mantapam called Ranga Mantapam, which was constructed by the kings to house the Utsava deity of Ranganatha during the invasion between 1323 and 1371 by Ullu Khan, also known as Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So that is called Ranga Mantapam, and after you do a Pradakshinam around that, you will see the Balipitham and the Dvajastambam, Vaikhana Sagamam. Then you do that through that Rajata Dwaram, silver Dwaram, you left hand side you see Varadaraja Swami Sannidhi. Then you go through that. Now all Baddhatma, Jivatma, Muktatma, all lines will be joined there. Then you will slowly climb up. They will push from one side. There will be one Garuda, extremely handsome Garuda, two Dwarapalakas. Then you go up. All the Bhaktas, because of Romanchanam and because of that Bhakti, will raise their hands. And imagine you are not that blessed by Trivikrama. So in that gap between that hands, you have to see Bhagavan. People will push you from the behind. There will be Kumuda, Kumudaksha and all of them with their temple badge with that magical word Jaragandi. One side they will be there, Prapti Virodhi. Behind they will push you. People would have raised their hands. 2 seconds left. Bhagavan is about 15 feet away. If you catch a glimpse of him, Drishtamatre Punaha Urupurusharthatmakam, you are blessed. By the time you realize you are inside, you will be out. Perumal save cheyada. So you will come out. See, the destination was only 1 second, but the journey was 10 minutes. So the journey makes you anxious and makes you think of Bhagavan every second. So the journey in itself becomes the destination. That is called Povan Pogindrarai. Akrura Gamanam was more than seeing Krishna. His journey to seeing Krishna was enjoyable. He goes and informs Nandagopa that this is not your son. That night was the most cruelest of all nights. Nandagopa couldn't accept that Krishna was not his son. He was in a state of shock. He goes and tells Yashoda, Yashoda, it seems Krishna is not our son. She did not know if she was dreaming or she was in reality. She prayed, Hey Surya, do not rise the next morning. If you rise, my son will go away. Punya janaha yena gatisaha. They said, who called you Akrura? You're a Rakshasa. Krura Hridaya, you're separating my child from me. That night, Vrindavanam, none of them slept. They couldn't even fathom the thought that Krishna was not theirs. Next morning when the sun arose, Krishna and Balarama were taken in a chariot. Yashoda ran behind that chariot. She said, when will I get to see this boy again? And when Krishna looked back, that is the last sight he's giving to Gopikas. He's never going to come back. That separation in Bhagavatam is a very emotional place when Yashoda laments. She says, when will I get to see that boy? On the other hand, when the chariot took away Krishna and Balarama, it entered Mathura. The inhabitants of Vrindavanam lost their most treasured gem. On the other hand, Mathura gained. Somebody's loss is somebody's gain. Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Madhura Purisadana, Mriduvadana, Madhusudana, Iha Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna. So Krishna entered. There was one lady with deformity. She's called Anekavakra or Trivakra. In Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana, she had deformity. She couldn't even put her head up. She was always looking to the ground. Her only duty was to grind sandalwood paste for Kamsa, and she wouldn't part even an iota with anyone. Nobody dare even ask her. Today, while she was carrying the sandalwood paste, Krishna said, Kubja, some paste for me, Kubja. So immediately that Kubja, she offered that Chandaram. Everybody was shocked. How did she offer to Krishna? She had heard in Vedanta Kalakshepam that the one with lotus-like feet is Parabrahmam, don't deny. She saw his feet. And She offered. Now what Krishna did, he applied the sandalwood paste everywhere, took the remnant of it and applied it on her places where there were deformities through varmam. In Kerala there's an art called varmam. You do this. He hit like this. Tap. What did she become? Tavat Jagat Sundarim. She became Miss Universe. She immediately went and applied. Kubjam abja vilochana padipuna drishtva angaragetaya datte sadhu kilangaraga madadas tasya mahantam hridi chittastam rutumata prataitum gatrepi tatsya sputam grinhan manjukarena tamudayanan tavat Jagat Sundarim. She became Miss Universe. All the other women said, Krishna, you are playing. Then Krishna reached the court of Kamsa, vanquishing an elephant called as Kuvalaya Peetam, WWF champions called as Mushtika Charnora, and he killed Kamsa. This killing of Kamsa and all I won't describe in detail, it's not a crime scene. He killed. Now Krishna went to the jail 301 jail premises to release his parents. Then he introduced himself. नमस्ते देवकी जी, मैं आपका सतपुत्र हूँ। वासुदेव जी, आप मुझे एक बार मेरे जन्म के बाद मुझे गोकुल में छोड़े थे। इसके बाद मेरा नाम हुआ एन कृष्णा। अभी मैं अप्लाई किया हूँ वी कृष्णा। So he introduces. The parents are extremely elated to see their only surviving child. But at the end of the day, Devaki is an Indian mother. She didn't even get out of the day. She asked one question: what have you studied? படிச்சிருக்கியா? அப்பதான் Indian mother. என்ன படிச்சிருக்கியா? Krishna, what is Padipu? You have to go to school, my dear boy. That's school. What is school? There was no school in Gokulam, no school in Vrindavanam. That is when she said, I am not moving out of the jail premises till I spot a school for you. Whichever school they are asking for previous experience. DC at the contact certificate. Contact certificate you won't get, nobody will give it. Yeah. What to do? Finally, one teacher was spotted. His name was Sandipani, near Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. He said, no previous experience required, no documents required. Even if you're undocumented, we will. Whatever it is, you should not vandalize any bill. So documents are not required. We will give you education, 64 nights, 64 days, 999 only, Bata experience, 999 only. So immediately they were admitted, Balarama and Krishna. 64 days, 64. He learned 64 arts. See, let's say I even specialize in chemistry. I have to first think whether I want to branch out into organic, inorganic, quantum or analytical. Then I do a doctoral, postdoctoral in that, and then I understand what is benzene resonance stabilization and what is my topic. For one subject, he learned 64 arts in 64 days. Gatva Sandeepanim Atha Chatushashti Ratrim Ahobihi Sarvanyasvam. How did he manage to learn such a diverse knowledge stream of 64 art forms in 64 nights? The answer is Sarvanyasvam. Because he was Sarvagya, he knew everything. Then why did he learn? If he doesn't go to school, our child will say, Krishna Pona. You prayed to Krishna, did Krishna go to school? He went to school so that we escape from that blame game. Why? But even despite going to school, he knew everything, so it was revision for him. Sir, is it possible to know everything? Yes. In the last 100 years was a great Acharya called Paramacharya of Kanchi, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. At the age of 10, he took up to the Peetham. After two Acharyas' sudden demise, when he took up, he had not learned. He was in a convent in Viluppuram. He had not learned the Vedas. After becoming the Peethadipati, he started learning Vedas and the Vedanta, Veda Bhashyam. He was taken to a remote village called Mahendramangalam by the banks of river Kaveri so that devotees do not keep frequenting and affecting his education. He was seated there. To this 10-year-old boy who had learnt Vedam, Veda Bhashyam had to be taught. An 80-year-old person would walk and teach him. Every day he would be seated by the wet sands of Kaveri, taking a stick, and he would be playing on the sands. Acharya used to be playing with the Ekadandam, and the teacher used to teach. At one point in time, the teacher thought this is not going to happen because the boy is very playful. How can I teach Veda Bhashyam to the boy who's playful? Nor could he reprimand because he's a Pitadipati. So what this Acharya did was, 80-year-old person, he fell prostrated at the feet of Paramacharya. Paramacharya, the little boy, though he was a Pitadipati, he was a little boy. He said, why are you falling at my feet? See, I can't teach you because you're very playful. I cannot shout at you because you're a Pitadipati. Please release me, relieve me, I will leave. Then Acharya asked, what is left? He said, see, in Taittiriya Shaka, I have to teach you 2 other chapters. In Kanva Shaka, I have to teach you 2 chapters. I have to tell you the meaning from the Veda Bhashyam. There's so much left, but you are very playful. Paramacharya said, wait, I will tell you the meaning of the remaining chapters. And he taught all that which was remaining. Then the Acharya fell again at his feet. He asked, why are you falling again? There is nothing left to teach you. Sarvajnastvam sahamusalina sarvavidya grihitva. When you are cognizant of everything, it is just a revision. See, we are not able to realize or fathom that because for us everything is new. See, இப்போ இன்னைக்கு நான் சொன்னதே ஒரு 10 நாள் கழிச்சு சொன்னேன்னு வச்சுக்கோ, புதுசா கேட்கற மாதிரி அசோக் இந்த நாள் because we cannot understand that sarvajnatvam because we are not sarvajnas. See, it's a different feeling when you know something. When you are born, you are a pre-fed data. When your hard disk is already carrying knowledge, you don't have to learn something new. It will just be a continuity. See, music for some, you can teach. For some, it's just like that. From the child, they can understand that ragam. It is not taught. It will just be a continuity of their Purva Janma Vasana. Jnanam is like that. Certain avatara purushas always carry that continuity. And we cannot understand that. Krishna is Purna Punyavataram, why will he not? So Sandipani tutelage was over. So what Krishna did was, through me, he has made me go 30 minutes overboard today. Every day I stick to 2 hours. Sorry, I'm being very... every day I stick only to 2 hours because I have to respect somebody's time. But today I went 2 hours 32 minutes. 4 minutes less than Bahubali 2. And you all sat in one place and listened, which just shows the dedication that you have for Sanatana Dharma. This temple is so blessed to have Astikas like you. So please do strengthen their hands. With this, I will conclude my Upanyasam for the day. Tomorrow it begins at 10:30. We have lots of portions to cover. Many Kalyanams. Towards the end, we will be concluding with Rukmani Parinayam. So 10:30 it will begin. Get over at about 12:30. Kavita Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Maheshaha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyetva Buddhyatmanabha Prakrite Svabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Srimannarayanaayeti Samarpayami. Jnanananda Seva Samajam is conducting a Nama Yatra, Nama Sankirtana by Shiva Shri Skanda Prasad. They are all arriving to perform on the September 7th in Wheaton High School. I don't know if the pronunciation is right. Wheaton. So you have to, it's a ticketed event. Please be a part of their journey and make that event a big success. Thank you.